If you guys want to learn how to paint the easiest trees in the world with watercolor, watch this video. So we're just going to start spattering some paint. I'm going to grab some yellow color. Start spattering some. Now I'm going to come in here with the actual brush itself. And we've got lots of little stuff going on. So I'm changing up the color temperature constantly. I'm going to add some more blue. Okay, some more yellow. Let's have the light source coming from this direction. So we're going to have some more yellow on this side of the tree. And then I'm going to rinse the brush off. And I'm going to wick up some of this with a thirsty brush. Now the brush is drier than the paper, which means that it's going to be pulling up the color as opposed to putting it down. This is a great way to get a three-dimensional look into your watercolors just by lifting off paint. You want to throw down some water to get some water blossoms in here. Just spatter some pure water. You want cleanish water when you're doing that. I do have a bunch of paint I spattered all over here, but that's all right. We're not worried about that right now. I'm going to grab some more blue color and drop it down into here. I want this area to be a little bit darker. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to a smaller brush here, and I'm going to grab some burnt sienna, which is a brown, mixed with the green, makes a very nice black color. If you're trying to make dark too, you want to use more paint, less water. So I'm coming into here now, and I'm going to put, where's the tree trunk? I have the tree trunk. Let's have this guy lean in this direction. A little branch going that direction. And then I'm going to go back to my green color, and we're going to make a bit of a shadow come in this direction. Going to come back with a thirsty brush and wick this up at the end because shadows get lighter as they get further away from the source. And then I'm going to switch to even a smaller brush. I'll come into here, and I'm going to make a horizon line. So I'm going to rinse off the brush and just have hardly any paint come across here. This, of course, is going to give you a soft edge over here. That's okay right now. Not worried about that. Rinse off the brush, just come back with water. Dab with your paper towel a little bit. I'm going to spatter a little bit into the foreground here. You want to lift off some of these colors, just use that with a brush. And I'm looking at this picture and drop some water into here, create more water blossoms. Get rid of some of these spots here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get darker paint, thicker paint, less water, to make myself a really, really dark color. Ultramarine blue, burnt sienna will also do it. Come over here, put a darker, the light source is coming from here. And now I've got this dark in here. Let's go back into this while this is still wet. Now this is going to give us soft edges because we're dropping wet into wet. You can do a little bit more spattering if you want to. Now I'm going to rinse the brush off completely. I've got really clean water. Come into here and drop some yellows, bright yellows. This is why you got to have some clean water when you do this. And let's bring a little bit of this color up into here a little bit. And maybe just bring this out over here just a tad bit. Okay. Now I'm going to stop. All right, so the first layer is dry except for a little spot down here, but I'm not too worried about that. So once this is mostly dry, you can tell if you touch the paper, and if it feels cold to the touch, that means the paper is still a little bit wet. You want to make sure when you're layering that you work on dry paper. I'm okay with this part. I think I can get that without ruining it. So I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab another squirrel mop brush, a smaller one. This is the number 2 squirrel mop brush. And I will include links to the brushes in this video description if you want to check that out. You can't get these online. These are really good brushes. Now I'm going to mix up a little bit darker mixture of the same color as I used before. Sap green, cobalt blue. And I'm going to come into here and I'm just going to start dropping down just randomly, because remember that the trees, it's all about, it's not a pattern, it's randomness. So drop down some color, certain places, make little shadow areas. Try not to do too much. I know that's hard because people want to do too much. I'm going to grab a smaller brush now. This is a Richeson Silver Velvet number 8, which I really like for like details. I'm going to come in and touch and kiss a few areas. We're pretty much just using straight water, right? Clean water right now. And we're just coming in and just letting this touch it. It's going to move around. Do a little bit of spattering. Makes it look a little bit more textured and random like trees are. You can touch and kiss if you want to get some soft edges in a few areas. Some more spattering into here. And then I'm going to mix up a really thick mixture of ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, which makes a very nice dark color. I use the Winsor Newton burnt sienna. And I'm going to drop the dark into here into a couple spots. And then after this is done, we're going to work on doing the branches and with the detailing. Rinse the brush off again, do some more spattering. If you spatter into these areas, just use your paper towel, clean paper towel, and pull the spatters off. I don't mind because to me it looks, you know, like foliage and things. And you can't erase that stuff later. I know people are like, oh, you can't erase watercolor. Well, that is not the truth. You can. So just make it, we're just trying to make this look three-dimensional. Remember, the light source is coming from this side. So just make everything darker. That side. You just have to keep it consistent. That's the thing with shadows and light sources. And dropping some darker darks down now. Some small little details. Wet into wet, wet on dry. A bit of spattering. And take this off. I don't like that there. Take that off. You can lift off a lot of the color while it's still wet. Don't worry about it. Once it's dry, it gets a little bit more difficult. But now I'm going to dry that, and we're going to work on the detailing next. All right, I used a hairdryer on this, and I did dry most of it. It's still a little bit wet in this section here, but I'm not going to get into the details there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch to a even finer brush. This is a little liner or rigger that I have. And I'm going to go back to my dark mixture of color, which was the burnt sienna, ultramarine blue. You could throw sap green in also, as long as it's a sap green that's dark enough. And I'm coming in here now with this small brush, and this is when I'm going to start working on just some of these little details for the twigs, you know, the stems and everything, and the branches. So just, you know, sometimes you got branches that pop out through the trees in a certain area. Let's have a little thing goes behind there. Branches off there. Little things like this spatter up here will make that look intentional. All it takes is just a little bit of details, and it really makes it look like a tree. We have that guy branch off there. If it's too dark, take a paper towel, lighten up some sections of it while it's still wet. A lot easier to do that while it's still wet. Let's have this big tree trunk pop out in a couple areas in this section here. It's popping out behind the leaves. That guy is still wet, so I'm going to get kind of a soft edge there, but I don't mind that. And I'm not using a photo reference. I'm literally just making this up out of my head here. One of the things about branches too is make the branches come in front of and behind certain things, and what that behind the shapes, and what that does is that creates a sense of depth. So to illustrate that, I'm going to make that go behind those two dark shapes there, and it's going to come through here All it takes is just a little bit of detailing. If it's too much, just dab with paper towel. Make sure I get centered back on this. Okay. Dab with the paper towel again, and then I'm going to take the dark color one more time, thicker paint, less water, and come back down into here. And I'm still using the rigger brush, the liner, and mixing up some darker colors, a little bit more of the green. And now I'm going to do is I'm coming to the foreground, and there's going to be a couple grasses in the foreground. And that also will create a little bit more of a sense of depth if you have it coming in front of the shadows. A little bit of dry brush. Dry brush, you just drag it across the surface. Big shapes, small shapes. And now I'm switching to my half-inch flat brush, quarter-inch flat. And this also doesn't have anything on the handle anymore. And I don't have super clean water right now, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get some water on this brush. I'm going to come into here and go back and forth, back and forth. And if you do that, what that does is it wakes the color up and it pulls it off the paper. And I want to pull off a couple areas, dab with the cleanish paper towel. And if I want to get some highlights back into here, because these colors don't stay in the paper, you can pull them off really easily afterwards. And I think the half-inch brushes are really great for this. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to knock back some hard edges. We have a lot of hard edges right now in this painting. So we come into here and we activate the color and we lift it off with the brush. This will also help to create a sense of three-dimensional. Hard edges, soft edges. The more you do this, the more it wakes the color up and pulls it off. So try not to do too much. And the spots over here, which I didn't like, which I don't like, because these are non-staining colors, you can pretty much get these off also, which is why I wasn't too worried about them at the time. But you want to have clean water when you do this. And I have to change my paper towel because this paper towel is really dirty right now. The more you scrub with this, the more these colors are going to come off. And let me get my paper towel, cleaner paper towels. And you see I could pull off a lot of that color, so I'm not really too worried about those little spots. Now let's go back up into here and make some different shapes with branches. You could also do a little bit more spattering if you wanted to. And then you can spatter some more water on top of that just for even more detail. And when you're happy with it, stop. If you like this content, hit subscribe. I'll have more watercolor tutorials in the future. Thanks a lot and happy painting.